fix it. I try to picture someone else but you. But then you kissed me, and now there's nothing else I wanna do. For the record, I never thought it would be you and me. You said tomorrow, let's see what happens, but it's plain to see. And tonight we're like fire and ice. I'm burning all over, and we're starting a riot tonight. Don't want this to be over. Any second we're all burned down. If we stay here, we'll probably drown. I know this will never work, and I saw it all before, but I will really miss you on the dance floor. And tonight we're like fire and ice. Fire and ice. I try to fix it. I try to picture someone else but you.
Rag is there!
Oh, that is absolute dynamite. And boom, it
And
goes.
boom! The layout goes! Slusta and the Kran are on the move. To the Kran!
Hello everyone and welcome back to the London Invite. I'm Mark Duty. I'm happy to be bringing you coverage of this men's division game between Ranelagh and Iznogood. Two teams that after maybe 2024 that they're disappointed with, looking to rebound here at the London Invite.
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Joanna. Excited to be competing this game as well. Yeah, the conditions here at the pitches it's actually just calmed down quite a lot, but it's been really breezy and really windy, and that's been affecting the games a bit in both directions. Iznogood played Clapham in the slot before this on the show pitch, which is perpendicular to this one, so the wind was very different. So I think it will be interesting to see how both teams adjust to the wind here. It's pretty upwind, downwind, with the wind going towards the end zone that Ranelagh are warming up in.
And both teams also having to adjust the fact that they are missing a few key players. Benjamin Fenriche, usually playing with Iznogood, but is representing the France World Games team of this tournament. And Ranelagh notably missing Sam Murphy for this tournament. However, one big addition is they are returning Tig Devi, who was just back from 2 years playing with Furious George in Vancouver. So they'll be delighted to have them back for this test against the Parisians.
I have to admit, I don't know much about the men's division. I don't know much about either of these two teams, so I'm excited to see this match, excited to learn more about the players. So yeah, I'll be sharing my insights on the play and excited to hear from you about the backups.
Yeah, I think this matchup is really interesting because I think both of these teams kind of peaked. They're mainstays of European Ultimate, right? But they really peaked in 2022. Iznogood having an incredible performance at Tom's Tourney and finishing 9th at the World Championships. And of course, Ranelagh famously winning Euros in a kind of a surprise tournament run. Since then, they've still maintained qualifying for EUCS, but certainly not reaching those heights. But I think both of them now returning players and looking to then reach those heights of European Ultimate again. So two very evenly matched teams, and I'm very excited to see how it turns out.
Yeah, it does sound like the men's division in Europe has had a lot of shifting in the last couple of years, which is really exciting. Not so much for the teams themselves when they're shifting down, but really exciting to see lots of different teams coming up and going down. Shows how the division is across Europe.
Absolutely, and I think one thing that's kind of really stood out this year is just the parity. I mean, we had Elite Invite, I believe last weekend or the weekend before. But the amount of upsets and the usual mainstays of, Clapham losing all their games on day one. We saw Groot rising up, but it really feels like this season, more than any before, it's anyone to the taking and anyone can make a run. As we see the opening pull from Iznogood coming down on defense, but playing into the downwind end zone. So we'll see how this Ranelagh fares going upwind. Stephen Jones takes the disc in the center of the pitch, resets to Shane Corcoran. Shane Corcoran and Dean McCreary have really been the mainstays of this O-line as Ranelagh have rebuilt after the 2022 success. Now we see the aforementioned Tyg Deavy. He swings to the break side to Ronan Callahan, looking infield. Ronan and Dean happy to play a bit of catch as we see Corcoran with the disc now. Ranelagh really looking like they're melting into a 3-person dominator set as Kyo is found on the doorstep looking to put in the first goal. And he finds Josh. He finds Josh Reed at the front cone, better known as DJ. But that was really nice upwind offense, super safe, never really taking any risks. Great way to start the game, the match.
Yeah, you see the replay here. A lot of these throws, or a few of them, were a bit tight on the catch, possibly a bit behind the receiver, but really focused and caught in, and I think that's going to be a real difference maker in a game like this. My team just played on one of these pitches, the upwind, downwind ones, and those little, the disc is just behind you, but you still catch it. That's what makes the difference in one of these games. So yeah, I really liked the offense there. It looked like a split stack with the possibility to flush those cutters downfield and let the Dominator take over, and I think that's a really smart offense to do in this windy conditions. Absolutely,
and I think that'll be key for Ranelagh on defense here and key for Iznogood on offense. They had a great performance at the spring tour in Grenoble, did Iznogood, and they're running a lot of their offense through Luca Bouchon, who was playing with Gentle towards the end of last season, but he's returned and it seems like they've really given him the keys to the offense. He likes to play that fast, small ball offense, so it'll be interesting to see how it works for them going upwind against this Ranelagh defense. Currently, a little bit of poaching, but it looks like mostly match defense for Ranelagh, as Iznogood look to get it off the sideline. Moving it into the center of the field now. And we've got Olivier Gibert, and he continues to Riard. Riard surveying. Definitely looking at this break side. It looks like Izno are really trying to get into the high sideline here. Ranelagh are giving them those open side swings into the middle of the pitch, but they seem content to try and still force it up this break side, looking to use this high sideline and not get trapped on the low sideline.
It's interesting you say that, though. I would argue that when you start the point, it feels like there's going to be a high sideline, but actually both of these sidelines have been really murderous. Getting stuck on either of them is not a lot of fun.
Definitely playing through the center of the pitch has to be the play, as we see a bit over the shoulder on Bouchon.
Ooh.
But he can't quite connect.
Yeah, it looks like the hands were the first point of contact with the ground here, which is unfortunate because the feet would have been in, I think. But, I mean, it would have had to be a huge play.
Yeah, a great attempt at the play from Riard, but can't quite get the feet down. As we see our first look at the Ranelagh D-line offense. Louis Stewart swinging wide. It pops up, but rescued by McCarthy. This Ranelagh offense really looking to flow now, and we get a shot looking for McCarthy. Just too far there. We see the impact of the wind, as this looked like it was money, but just carried too far.
Yeah, for most of the flow of that disc, I thought it was going to be caught, but still a good place to be trapping the Izno offense down in that end zone. They got the whole pitch to work up against the wind. But yeah, it is. We've seen a lot of success from teams having multiple cuts going at the same time, surprisingly, so that there's someone there to back it up if it goes over the head. Which counterintuitively, that actually works really well.
Yeah, and we even saw it there with the save from McCarthy, but Izno now looking to go the full 70 into this wind once again. We see Riard get it. Lovely continuation into the center. That's Remy Duvois. On a bit of an island here, no dump option, but gets an outlet in the form of Charret. Iznogood on the doorstep now, looking to force it in, but great option there instead of to look into that front cone, look to swing the disc and find space elsewhere. We see Charest really kind of dominating possession here, looking to give it and get it back. This is great patience from the Iznogood offense right now, opting to slow it down rather than just force something in for a score. And as I say that, we see a miscommunication. Ranelagh looking to get off to the races here. Peters on the sideline. Uncorks a backhand looking for Kelleher.
Yeah, you hear the Ranelagh team on the sideline saying it's a good look. I agree. Obviously, it's better if you come down with the disc. And I think as this game goes on, they will really see how much that downwind really gets caught by the disc and adjust. But it's a favorable place to start trapping as a D-line as well.
Yeah, those are definitely the kind of mistakes you want to be making earlier in the game rather than later.
Yeah.
So that once you're calibrated with the winds in crunch time, we might see it pay dividends. I'm really enjoying this Bouchon-Peters matchup right now. They've scouted, they know that they want to run through him and are really trying to limit that. Charest now on the backhand sideline, surveying upfield. Now engages his oh, that's an excellent move.
Stall out is being called, and it looks like it's uncontested.
Wow, well, the first short field turnover now. Yeah, that was really great defensive pressure from Ranelagh, and it's interesting to see Iznogood are really looking upfield for quite a while, in a kind of a contrast to that Ranelagh upwind O that we saw in the previous point.
Yeah, especially when you're on that sideline, you've only got a very small amount of pitch to get it into, and it's really hard to huck much further than half pitch in this wind.
As we see an excellent outlet hammer for Peters. He's got Micklem on the sideline. Resets to Stewart. The UCD connection there coming in. And we got McCarthy on the doorstep.
Oh, that's a goal.
A speculative shot from McCarthy. That's the third time the wind has played tricks on a Ranelagh shot from a goal, but I guess third time's the charm in this occasion.
And again, having that backup, two cutters in the same space, good communication between them to make sure they didn't both go for it. And actually possibly a good speculative shot because it wasn't floaty, so it wasn't going to get carried out of the end zone. It was pretty knifey, so it did have that edge to come back in. Yeah, really interesting kind of spread end zone offense from Ranelagh there. We saw in the upwind end zone, Izno were really sending multiple cuts to really small front end zone corners, which I think can be a great tactic, particularly if you happen to look them off and swing. But yeah, the Ranelagh end zone offense was much more put one person in each corner, see what happens.
Absolutely. I think especially if you're going to throw up a shot like that, the defense does get pulled to the front of the end zone. So while the throw did pop up, it was to a sea of white jerseys, essentially.
Yeah, and I promise we will stop only talking about the wind at some point. But it will be interesting to see if the Ranelagh D-line gets shot on offense here, if they keep that kind of spread end zone, if they go to a more central end zone. I don't think, from last year it was windy here. I don't think it was this windy. So teams will obviously have their wind offensive planning, but I don't think any team was really picturing the gustiness that we're seeing today.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this Iznogood downwind O. I know they are lethal with their set plays coming out of their 3-4. They really like to strike deep and strike deep early. And so perfect conditions for them to set up one of these shots here. Yeah, we see Riar come under. Bouchon's taken off deep, and they look to send it to him. What an incredible play from Max Hodes. I thought that shot was weighted absolutely perfectly, but he managed to make up the ground and just get a hand in there, really.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the downsides of, some of these discs have been way too far. If you sit it so that there's plenty of time, a couple of different options at the disc there, and definitely some contact between the players, but not considered enough. Call a foul.
Absolutely, good to see they're playing through it, and yeah, Bouchon did his best to get on the second effort, but it was just out of his grasp. Yeah. We see Ranelagh again looking to this upwind offense strategy. until we get a big shot. That was Campbell looking to get it done quickly, but his shot to Keenan unsuccessful. However, there is a call on the play.
Yeah, looks like there's being a foul called.
Always tough when shots like that do get popped up so much by the wind.
Yeah, and I think it's also interesting. I primarily play in the women's division, and the like standards of contact and physicality can often be very different. So I personally have no perspective on what the players might be happy to accept here and might be happy to call a foul on.
Yeah, certainly a tone set on the initial D with Bouchon happy to play on through a bit of contact. But we'll take a look here. Certainly looks like Bouchon gets there first. Incredible hustle play. But it's a matter of could he have done that without avoiding dangerous contact?
We did have one player from each team come over to look at the replay, which they're allowed to do, but I believe that the rules are you can only feed back to your team if you are feeding back that your team was in the wrong. So trying to structure it so that you can't just look at tape and say, yeah, my team's still correct. And so, yeah, they also didn't look at the sideline for support. So I think a contested is a good outcome.
Absolutely, and Campbell will get a second shot with possession now. Takes a more conservative option on this occasion. And Ranelagh once again really looking to move this disc quickly, take those safe passes. Campbell gets in the middle, looks to continue to Tuig. Tuig really a player who's been with this Ranelagh outfit a long while and just continually improving year on year. Yeah, really solid option for their D-line. See Joe Lau, a new addition coming from Rebel in Cork, moving to Dublin and playing with Ranelagh this season, and he finds a great shot up line.
Yeah, that's a really nice passage of play there. A couple of really nice shots, both in terms of choice and execution. And I think we really see how the benefits of swinging in this upwind direction, and also the downfield cutters did such a good job of staying connected even when the handlers were losing some ground to get those swings. I think here, yeah, we're going to see a replay of that really nice up the line. That's a really hard throw in the wind. And then, yeah, player just super open in the end zone.
Yeah, especially in the wind, those outlets are so valuable. If you can catch the disc with your defender behind you and no mark, it makes throwing through that wind so much easier. And we see Campbell continue to Hodes, who, that's a bookend. It might have taken a while for him to get there, but completes his bookends. And yeah, dream start for Ranelagh, up 3-0 and shooting downwind.
Do you know the scores that either of these two teams have had in the pool so far?
I know for Ranelagh they suffered a universe point loss to Bristol. So yeah, super tight game from them, but certainly want to bounce back here.
And I know that Iznogood played Clapham and Clapham won, but I don't know by how much.
Yeah, Clapham, I guess, with something to prove for themselves after their kind of anomalous performance, really, at Elite Invite. So, yeah, really, I can't imagine they'll be taking any prisoners here on their home turf.
Yeah. Should be a good pool then if Ranelagh and Bristol were that close. Great pull into the back of the end zone.
Yeah, Ranelagh really looking to keep up this momentum here. Luca Bouchon now on the sideline and just looks to go for it in one. He's aiming for Riard, but it's going to end up with half the team underneath it. Incredible take from Callum McCarthy. Gets up early and takes that on the way down. And Ranelagh again looking to compound their lead right now. Peters to Stewart to McCarthy, who got that D. Once again, this Ranelagh team happy to play patient, happy to move the disc.
Yeah.
And with a shot from Stewart cross field to Sam Micklem. I think they're calibrated with the win now.
Yeah.
That's an excellent find from two former college teammates.
Oh, cute. Yeah, again, seeing that kind of more spread end zone look, the Izno end zone defense was doing a good job at kind of being more zoney and taking away some of the front corners, but really like the Ranelagh approach to that end zone, just putting people in each corner. This is the initial huck, which again looks a bit like a huck and hope situation. And again, as with both of the ones like skyballs like this we've had so far, it's actually someone who's not in the pack underneath it, who has time to come up and take that disc over. So that's where it really, that point about having multiple people in the same space in wind like this can be really helpful. But yeah, even more of a dream start so far for Ranelagh.
Yeah, especially in those jump balls, trailing the play, it really gives you a better opportunity to read the disc, and we see McCarthy there adjusting and able to high point it over the pack. Ranelagh looking to go upwind again now. It seems like they're playing two lines, one for each direction. Maybe this line a more small ball focus, certainly more handler heavy. And they did a great job last time, so we'll see if they can do it again.
Yeah, I like that tactic to keep players playing in the same direction. I think often you can see games where maybe a break is called, and so you have the same D-line going back on again, going in the opposite direction, and I think it's really difficult to score both of those in a row with the same line going in the same direction. So I like the move to an upwind, downwind.
Iznogood themselves switching up the lines. It looks like they brought their D-line out to try and do what the O-line hasn't been able to right now. And we see this Ranelagh team really backing these Iznogood defenders. They know how good they are at shooting it, and we get an example right here.
Whoa. Great catch, great defense.
Excellent run down from Gignac there.
Yeah, really beautifully weighted disc. And I think you could kind of see, like you mentioned, Izno really seemed to be setting that up the whole point. They came out in a vert stack. It was very much, let's move it around the back until we've got this really great disc set up, and I think that is weighted great and a really great job of boxing out. There's no path to the disc that isn't through the offensive player for the defender.
Yeah, that's really an incredible throw from Lamar. Just sat it out on the wind, and yeah, like you said, they were trying to set it up, and they were able to connect on this occasion.
Also a tough decision if you're on defense and you are defending downwind, so the offense is going downwind. Often, I think a good defensive strategy is to sit under of your deep cutters because you know the disc is going to float so far. Obviously, when you've got really great throwers who can sit the disc exactly wherever they want, sometimes you'll get a bit done. But it is, yeah, it's an interesting tactical decision to make. Is do you protect that end zone from discs that are going to go far, or do you protect the unders knowing that the long discs are going to be really hard to get perfect?
Absolutely, and the best part about that D-line scoring the O point there is that they get to stay out there now, looking to carry some of that momentum into a D point here. See McCrory pick up, swings to Deavy, who has Kyo on the connection.
Oh, just out of reach, possibly pushed down there by the wind as well. I did really like those there's a couple of decisions to not take the inside shot there. I think that's very smart. Yeah, just killed a little bit in the end zone by the wind here.
Yeah, beautiful outlet throw there to Kyo, but great hustle from the defender there. I think if he doesn't have his hand there and force him to throw a bit higher, that's an easy goal. But yeah, in this wind, if you can pressure the throws at all and just cause that little bit of wobble, you're going to have success. On the second effort, that's Simon.
Travel might be being called there, something like that. Oh yeah, so it looks like he faked the release twice. I think they're agreeing it didn't affect.
It's going to come back to Simon, who's working with Lamar in the backspace.
Oh,
a shot
block.
A shot from Red. Looking, he had a man. It certainly was a good option, but an excellent post block there from Corcoran.
Oh, and then I think that's an inside shot that just fades and gets smacked down.
Yeah, definitely the point descending into a bit of chaos now. We've seen a good few turnovers in quick succession. We'll see which team will be the first to really settle down and get into a groove? It's not going to be Iznogood anyway, as we see another turn. However, Ranelagh not looking to play quick on this occasion. And yeah, set their offense up in the red zone. Inside shot from McCree to Kyo. And on this occasion, the backhand will work.
Somehow finds that receiver. It seemed like it went through the hands of two defenders. But yeah, really sliced it through there, and that worked really well. I think I like that kind of end zone ISO set that we're about to see here. It's really so much on the cutter here to drive their defender, give that IO lane as wide as possible. It is an IO throw there, but it's not the difficult IO that we've been seeing be really hard to throw in this wind. So he makes that all possible. A little shot through into the end zone. That's 5-1 for Ranelagh.
Yeah, and you're right. It was a cheeky shot. The defender almost got a hand there, but a nice thrust throw from Kyo. He knew DV would be waiting there, and yeah, on the fourth time of asking, the Dublin men are able to connect and get their D-line back out in the field. So we see the traditional Iznogood O-line back out on the field now. I'm sure they were able to discuss with their coach, make some adjustments, and hopefully we'll get to see, what they've cooked up in there while the D-line was on the field. Short pull from Ranelagh lands at about half field. And we see Devois move it to Bouchon. Bouchon surveying downfield. Really has eyes for that end zone, but instead he finds an under outlet pass. Yeah, and we see Charest here inside to Riar. Iznogood in the red zone now. Looking to slow down the pace, and they're moving into more of a three-man dominator set. Riar gets it in the center of the field. Working here with, I'm sorry, I don't think we have a number for number 17. Riar to Gibert. Yeah. You can tell that Ranelagh are used to playing against this type of set as they get a turn on a pop pass, but certainly going upwind, I'm not mad at that option at all, especially on a fast break. If you can set up a quick shot, it can be worth the gamble. Unfortunately, not working out for Peters on that occasion.
It'll be interesting to see here. It'll be interesting to see here. There's a little bit of, I guess, frustration visible from the Iznogood O-line. Maybe not seeing the cuts that they want to, struggling against this D. And some teams thrive on frustration. Some teams really enjoy that kind of like, not anger, but like intense motivation together. But if that's not how your team thrives, can be a challenge to see that on your O-line, as we see a break from Ranelagh.
Yeah, definitely the frustration compounding for Iznogood right now. A short field turn, and once again we see that just really strong break side upwind offense from Ranelagh, and they're able to slot it in for yet another break and a 6-1 lead.
Yeah, it's almost like the wind is on Ranelagh's side in this game, when it gusts and when it slows down. And yeah, the throws that they've just got to move through this.
Certainly the Irish no strangers to the winds, particularly in the college scene in the country, happening a bit earlier in the year. Very used to playing in these kind of conditions, and we see as Lawler takes it one fairly wide open in the end zone there.
Yeah.
That's his second goal of the game, also catching the downwind break earlier. And yeah, this Ranelagh D-line is feasting right now. I think the moment they'll be queuing up to try and get themselves on the stat sheet.
Have they got O&D lines?
I believe they do, yeah. Their O-line, obviously personnel will be switched around a little bit, particularly with the omission of Murphy. However, right now, yeah, we see a good few mainstays, particularly in the handler space with McCreary and Corcoran. Yeah, they've really been anchoring this O-line for the last couple of years, since the departure of Freddie Rogers. Yeah, and while frustration may be mounting for Iznogood, we hear the energy rising from Ranelagh. They're trying to will their D-line into half here with some chance, but that pull landing inbounds, but rolling out of the sideline. It's going to come in on the front cone. Really not where you want to be playing upwind offense. We see Charest walking the distance up to the line. Super experienced handler for Iznogood. We see Bouchon on the sideline looking afield. Gets continuation to Dovois. And this is the best kind of string of offense we've seen from this Iznogood team so far. Finding open shots. And despite the fingertips of Keenan, they managed to maintain possession.
Oh, that one's just too high.
Can't get that throw to stay down. And despite the good offense they were playing, we just see the number of passes that this Ranelagh D-line is forcing them to make, ultimately resulting in an error. Lau on the disc. Upfield for Campbell, but can't find it. Once again, that high release backhand on this sideline, proving tricky.
Feels very tempting. It really does feel like a good throw when you're out there, but it dies so quickly.
We see great use of an inside flick to expose the lane poach, and Izno off to the races a little bit.
Those are the kind of slicing through the middle shots that you really need to take on this field right now. Doing it in both directions too.
David back to Dovois. He's surveying. Gets it back to David. And then we see Gilbert. Gilbert on the sideline, motioning for his dump to move out of the dump space. High stall here, but managed to break the mark around.
It looks like the disc might be broken in some way, so they're getting a replacement. It really does feel like when there is no offense is in motion, they're really strong, but as soon as the stall gets up to 5 or 6, they're really struggling a lot more. Obviously, the Ranelagh defense is very strong, but I think trying to keep the disc moving faster like this is really in Iznogood's favor.
Absolutely, that's where we've really seen all their turns becoming when they just start staring downfield. As we see a shot from Bouchon. A crowd forms underneath, but Ulysse Rouillard is able to make the play, and that is exactly what Iznogood needed.
Yeah.
Not just a hold, but going upwind as well. It's going to give them a chance to maybe turn the tides in this one.
Yeah, they'll really be looking for any of those sort of moments that they can latch onto and kind of raise their energy and keep it moving. Hold is obviously great, and upwind hold is even better. I think they did a great job there of keeping the disc moving really quickly. This shot is a really solid shot. It sits up in the wind, and again we see that the eventual catcher isn't even in the pack. Is a backup, is coming in, has time to read it and high point it, and I think both of these teams are adjusting really well to the weather. I think Ranelagh kind of got there first, and Iznogood is catching up, but it is hard to predict the outcomes of these games when it's slightly chaotic. Although there is the cap rule in effect here at London Invite is slightly different than other cap rules, which is at 70 minutes the cap hooter goes, and if the game is within 2, then you play a soft cap, add 1 to the highest score, play to that number. If the game is not within 2, you play that point and that's it. So harder to come back if you are down a deficit, so Iznogood really need to be trying to catch back to within 2.
Yeah, Iznogood not just playing against Ranelagh right now, but also playing against the clock and opting for a different defensive look here, a bit of a junk look to maybe get Ranelagh out of that quick flow, make them think a bit more, and we see it pay dividends with a low throw from DV, unable to find Kyo. But on another issue with the disc.
What are they doing to oh yeah, that one has an actual hole in it, so I think that's
Maybe this is the play from Iznogood. They break the disc to get a few extra seconds to rest and
bring in the special disc.
Yeah, Red now with the responsibility to kind of man this D-line offense and help them put in a break.
This feels like a really pivotal moment for Iznogood. If they score this, then they'll really have something to pump them up.
Yeah, we see once again going back to that three-man red zone set. Red and Cockbear working. Now we see Quinton back to, and a lovely shot from Simon, but just not able to hold on to it was Gignac. Yeah, and that's got to be crucial for this Iznogood team. At the very least, a consolation. Ranelagh coming in on the front cone, going upwind, and they got to set this going a second time.
A gift back for the Iznogood team.
We see Red, Johnny on the spot, able to get in almost to Callahan, which I'm sure this Izno team would have absolutely loved right now, but certainly they'll settle for another red zone possession.
Oh, maybe almost telegraphed a little bit too much what he was going to do there.
Incredibly clutch block for Kyo, and he's on his horse. McCreary has sent it the full 70, but
wow, slightly unusual D there in that neither of them high pointed it. It was actually on the way back down that the Iznogood defender got a hand in there. Look at this, so it's fading a little bit. Readjusts somehow. Defender just gets a hand on it. And again, it's those kind of lucky second options that send the game in either direction for either team. You know, there's a completely reasonable world in which that tip was just a little bit less and the offense catches it. But in this case, we're getting the Iznogood D-line's second chance at an offensive break here.
yeah, it looked like a perfect shot when run up, but excellent D from Simon. Now Iznogood. D-line has their third chance to punch in this break.
Again, they're just kind of getting lucky. A lot of these things coming down in their direction, coming down their way.
Garrier on the doorstep. Has a man, but he slips. And high stall again. But the scoober to the back of the end zone will find Red. And there is life in Iznogood yet.
Wow, that was possibly like 13 players were on that front end zone cone. It was a real cozy moment there, but that's the perfect time to be thinking, where's my other player? Is there someone poached at the back of the end zone? Again, a challenging throw in this wind, but if the mess is going to be there, I think we have a player that slipped and fell down earlier, and so again, really close on the defense. A couple of the lucky points going down Iznogood's way this time, getting them that break. That's really crucial. This feels like one of the turning points in the game. If Iznogood can get another break here, they'll be within 2, they'll be in touching distance, they'll be able to keep that space with the cap, which is on in another 35 minutes, so they're halfway through the game. So yeah, this is one of those points where you find out what is in a team.
Absolutely, and to get within that gap, they're not just going to have to break, but they're going to have to break upwind. Opportunity here for the Ranelagh O-line to settle themselves. It looks like they've switched around a couple of the personnel. We've got Boissier in, just to add a bit of extra legs going downwind. Super talented receiver, just graduated from TUD. Query swings to Corcoran, but I think they're still ghosts from those handling errors in the last point, just managing to hold on. Kyo flips in the middle to DV, who adjusts his hood before continuing to the aforementioned Boissier. Excellent find through the middle from Stephen Jones, a veteran presence on this Ranelagh O-line. But as I say that, maybe a rush of blood to the head, but sticks it out too far for DV. And Iznogood are going to get that chance at an upwind break.
Oh, bit of a no-look throw, trying to throw that cutter open, but just a second off in the recognition between the two. Up until then, I was really loving this Ranelagh offense because I think, I don't know if this was a strategy they called on the line, but when a team's that fired up, ready to try to get a second break, and you just flip scoobers over them and have fun and throw those like little sassy throws, it can be a really, really smart demoralizing move, as we see Iznogood throwing away their first chance at a break here.
Yeah, not the option they would have wanted. Looking to go big, but as we've seen, that hasn't really been the play going into this upwind end zone, as Ranelagh will get their second chance at putting in this downwind hold. Kyo and McCreary working together, getting the disc into the center of the field. Lovely high release flick from McCreary. Puts it on a platter for Stephen Jones. Once again, this patience from the Ranelagh team. Really working well. But all that matters is that they keep this up and not take any ill-advised shots to the end zone as they did last time. Kyo on the doorstep, and he finds McCreary. He's fired up. He's loving it. Ranelagh put in the downwind hold to take us to half.
Yeah, Iznogood had a really big ask of them there, trying to get that upwind second break in a row. But Ranelagh really just using a demoralizing amount of sass there. They looked so free in their throws. They looked so calm and chill in their offense. They really looked like they were having fun, and it can be really hard to play against a team that looks like they're having fun, enjoying being there, taking the shots that they want to take. So yeah, is that halftime or?
I think we're actually at 7-3, so Ranelagh will need one more break if they want to take it to half, but extending that gap back to 4 and really looking to close this game out by the time the cap hits.
I think there is not a halftime cap here. So yeah, it can be a really interestingly shaped game. You can have a really long first half, little break, and then you can have a really short second half, depending on the timing. So yeah, we'll see what happens if Ranelagh take half here on a break, or if Izno get another hold to start their campaign to come back in time for the Hooter.
Especially with a game as upwind and downwind as this, that switch of sides at halftime can make all the difference. You see Luca Bichon pick up on the near side, and he fires, looking to get it done in 1. Oh, we see an incredible defensive effort from Graydon Scott, but it might not have been enough. We see signals for VAR.
So here's the huck coming in off the sideline. Throw goes up. The defender here takes a great line, manages to get a really great tip on it. Then we're seeing, I think that's a really hard call. He doesn't make the first catch, it comes out of his hand for sure. And then the question is, does it touch the ground, or are his forearms under it?
Yeah, no doubt he got a hand to it, but we did see it bounce out with the ground contact.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure on that one. I don't know if I saw ground contact before it landed on his forearms, but it's up to the sidelines of Izno to call it.
And it looks like it has been ruled as down. Incredible second effort play, but just unable to hold on.
From both teams there.
So Ranelagh now with a chance to break upwind to go into half. We see a swing from Peters to Kelleher on the sideline. Oh, Bouchon with a tip, but it's going to hang up. And Ranelagh with a second effort play of their own. That one's definitely up.
Oh my God, we're just getting plays for days here. These are the moments of luck and what's working for each team. Okay, so that looks like a strip is being called there.
Yeah, Gibert getting an arm in from behind. Strip call will be accepted, and Ranelagh keep possession on this near sideline. Peters looking to shoot a nice crossfield shot, but Charret is there, and he's going to fire one of his own.
That was tough. The cutter had come under when that was thrown.
Yeah, say what you want about it, but it is certainly end-to-end stuff here at the London Invite. Stewart looking to make this offense more side-to-side as Ranelagh slow it down, looking for an upwind break to take half.
I don't mind the Iznogood huck and D in these conditions, and when they have such good hucks, The defense is really strong as well. It's challenging, but I don't think it's a bad strategy.
Certainly the last thing you want to do going downwind is turn over in a short field. We see a beautiful lead from Peters to Micklem. Continues to McCarthy, and now Ranelagh have a red zone possession of their own. McCarthy looking up the line for Peters. And he secures it with the layout grab. That's half, and that is another break for this Ranelagh team.
Really well held onto there in the end zone. Again, that's sort of one of those throwing the cutter open moments. It's a face mark from Izno. Really close on that. 2 defenders there, but there wasn't an option for the defense to get a shot. So yeah, that's half taken on an upwind break by Ranelagh.
Yeah, we see that beautiful face-up cut from Joost Peters. And just that leading throw that throws him open, and he does an excellent job of securing it.
What are they, spaceships from Mars? No, they're Frisbees. Watch it soar. It flies way around like a bird. You can even run for a pass. You can play all kinds of games. Isn't it amazing? Frisbee Flying Saucer. Yours at toy, drug, and department stores.
Welcome back to the London Invite. We're bringing you the second half of Ranelagh versus Iznogood after a first half where the Ranelagh D-line ran riot, taking advantage of the windy conditions to string a bunch of breaks together and leaving Iznogood wondering what they can do to get the scoreline back before the cap.
Yeah, it's been a tough game for Iznogood. Again, a couple of things just haven't gone their way, a couple of tips, a couple of catches. They all add up in the end, and they actually got another relatively hard ask for them right here, which is for their O-line to hold upwind.
Yeah, certainly we see Alex Greer with the pull. He's a player who's joined Ranelagh this season from overseas, playing with the men in Dublin.
Oh, I love this look right now. We're having a zone coming out. It does look a bit like an FSU, like the sideline is calling, possibly a cup and a diamond in the back. This is such a good time to call a zone, going upwind after half. They've just tried to adjust to your match defense, and then you throw something else on them. I really like it.
Yeah, exactly. Just as you've had a chance to regroup, get yourselves fired up, and then you throw a different look at them to basically nullify, I'm sure, any adjustments they were chatting about at the halftime.
Yeah, and as we were saying, Izno looks best when they're moving quick in flow. A lot of this zone is going to be just stifling those immediate 2 passes in a row. So, yeah, making it harder for him.
So you see Riard getting involved with Charret. Now they're moving quickly.
Oh, that's another one of those things that just, on another day, it goes Iznogood's way, and today the disc just missed his hands.
Yeah, Bouchon just clutching at air. But Greer unable to haul that one in. A flick hook from Shane Keenan. He's made his name throwing those, but unfortunately this one slightly out of reach for the import from the UK.
But now again, we've got disc in the horrible end zone. Opportunity to put that zone on. Still a big ask.
Yeah, once again, we did see Iznogood having some good progress working through it, particularly when Bouchon gets involved and tries to go every other, as he's doing now. That was when they were getting a lot of success. Riyard now working with Bouchon. Back to Charest. And these are the players that Iznogood want around the disc when they're looking to put in an upwind hold. Trying to get a bit too cheeky with it. It was great use of Bouchon's legs there to just kind of pop his way up the pitch, but
We are now on our 4th disc of the game. Another stunning incident.
yeah, Andrew Tuig stamping that one in the ground for good measure.
We have an injury replacement as well on the Izno side. That's really tough because it was good-looking offense from Izno up until that point. They really were making use of some really fast discs, so not worrying too much about touch, but just like slicing them in there.
Oh, we see Greer finds Hodes, who flips it to Keenan. Ranelagh getting a tour of Europe there with that D-line connection. And Keenan, who missed on his hook attempt, but managed to finish off that one on the second try.
Yeah, defense did a good job, put in the work to try to get there, but with 2 receivers, even if you're playing great D on the first one, it's hard to catch up to the second one. That really possibly felt like another deciding point in this game because Izno were working it up pretty well against that zone. We're really slicing through. If they'd scored that, they would have been coming out on D, trying to force Ranelagh to score upwind, but now Ranelagh has yet another opportunity to try to get a break, which their D-line has been so good at doing in this game.
Yeah, you're maybe a couple passes away from 8-4 going downwind, and now you're staring at a Ranelagh D-line that are 9-3 up and feeling good about themselves right now.
And if I remember the schedule right, I think that the way that this tournament works is pools of 4 and the top 2 from each pool go into the quarters, which means that, or semis? Quarters.
Semis.
I've never been to a tournament, it's fine. Which means that it's a real fight for the top 2 in this pool, which with Clapham performing so well against Ranelagh, against Iznogood, might be a race for the second place. So this is kind of a game to go for Izno.
Yeah, Ranelagh certainly doing themselves favors in any sort of 3-way tie situation at the moment. And yeah, even if this game won't be able to come close enough at the cap, it's still, yeah, every point matters when we're talking about point difference here. So Iznogood still with it all to play for.
Yeah, that's a really good point, especially with Ranelagh and Bristol coming to Universe. We love a 3-way tie. See them all the time. Lots of fun. Point difference makes a big impact.
See Riyard's scoobers to Charest. They look to swing it. Yeah,
Some
low
up
grab from
calls
Gibert.
coming from the sideline. It looks like the call is being retracted by the Ranelagh player.
Yeah, excellent work saving possession there. And a flip from Gibert. He finds Lamar. And Lamar really has been a player who has had impacts crossing over from the D-line, but he's got an assist and a goal for the Iznogood O-line, really helping to kind of settle the nerves and helping get back on the horse.
Yeah, I like that look too, because you could tell that the defense thought it was going to be coming into the person cutting to the initial corner of that end zone, but it was actually right over their heads. And I guess kind of takes them by surprise. Really great to see Izno also bringing their own version of sass to this, playing with a bit of freedom, with a bit of happiness. And that's a really smart and difficult throw to execute into that end zone. So hopefully they can get excited about that, start building on that. Again, another upwind D point here. This is the point in the game where your D-line really wants to put in the work. This is the moment that they want to grind for.
Absolutely, and getting the turns for this D-line hasn't really been the problem. It's, yeah, they really do need some of that flair maybe on the offensive end, and maybe a spark just to help them put an upwind break. McCreary trying to remove any question of that and finds Kyo at the back of the end zone. He gets the hand, he gets the toe. Or does he?
I think he's maybe calling that out of bounds. Yeah.
Looks like it. I mean, he had us fooled, he had both sidelines fooled, but yeah, excellent spirit there.
We see on the replay here, yeah, his momentum just carries him out of bounds, maybe even on that line. Great spirit, really great catch, but needed a little bit more end zone to work with.
Yeah, great effort nonetheless, but yeah, yet another chance for this Iznogood D-line to make something happen going upwind. And that's just a stone cold drop.
Yeah, that's a rough one. And in that win, you're not getting a second chance at that.
Ranelagh, Dean McCreary picking up quickly and a beautifully weighted around backhand to his longtime friend and teammate Shane Corcoran for a downwind hold in the second time of asking.
Yeah, Ranelagh really running away with this one. Even when some things aren't going exactly their way, that's just a complete swip outside the end of the end zone. A little drop from Izno here and a pretty easy pop into the end zone for this score here.
Yeah, that's someone who's definitely gotten used to the win now, perfectly weighted to sit up into the hands of Corcoran. But yeah, just frustrating if you're an Iznogood player there. They were getting some good momentum, really using their legs in that upwind, but just again, this wind causing those handling errors and gifting Ranelagh short fields.
Yeah, it still does look a little bit like the Izno offense is like a second behind where it wants to be. As soon as they get up to that stall 4-5, it feels like, particularly in they're running like a little dominator move at the back, and it's almost like those handler cuts, those weave cuts are a second behind where they want to be, and it just stymies them. It really makes things so much harder in this wind. And as soon as they get moving, as soon as they're moving things on the first couple of counts of the stall count, they're really slicing through things. So could be some tired legs, could be just an adjustment in offensive strategy, but they have another chance here going with the wind. Some kind of call.
Dovois on the sideline, on a bit of an island with Riard looking to give an outlet, but yeah, some sort of call on the mark is going to reset the stall count.
Again here, I would have loved to see 99 make that cut 1 second earlier.
100%, especially in the handler space. So much of it is based off chemistry. If you're hesitating for even half a second, it just can really jam everything up. As we see Bouchon staring downfield, finds an option.
Really great run through block. Oh. He saw that 3 seconds before it happened.
Yeah, run through block from Campbell, the former Chevron player. Able to get this Ranelagh offense, or D-line back on offense. We see Greer on the sideline here, looking to use those backhands up line that have worked so well for Ranelagh so far. Instead opts for Tuagu, pops it up, but Keenan cannot quite hold on to it.
Yeah, that's a hard one. That was that around backhand up line that we've seen work so well for Ranelagh. That one actually had a bit more angle on it. It wasn't, weirdly enough, it was I think harder because it wasn't purely vertical next to the sideline. A little bit more angle for the wind to get on it.
Bouchon
big shot.
Looking for Riard. And Riard manages to reel it in. No question of whether he's inbounds on this occasion.
Yeah, really great catch there under a lot of pressure. And again, you know, I was about to say maybe Izno handlers could have had a bit more movement, but you don't need that if you can throw that throw to the end zone and if your cutter's going to come down with it like that in the breadbasket.
Yeah, that is a tried and true connection for Iznogood. Bouchon to Riard, two really strong players for them, and managing to get Iznogood back on the board with that look.
So can you tell me a bit about for example, Izno's offensive handler set? Do they play a lot together? Has there been a lot of change in there in the last couple of years, or is it pretty set?
So Charest, one of their main handlers, has been an absolute mainstay. I would say this Iznogood O-line definitely is a bit switched up. So in the past, it's been Giffard and Prieur Martin, at least from what I've seen, who are the really big initiation cutters downfield. This newest addition, though, with bringing Bouchon back, it seems to be a lot more centered around him, which is he's an excellent player, but definitely certainly newer for the Iznogood offense, and maybe we're seeing some of the kind of teething problems with that.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess we still are kind of early/mid-season here. These teams will be trying to qualify for and play at Euros, which is in October. So some line switches, this is the time in the season to do it, time to test it out, particularly because all of these teams will be interested in qualifying for Club Worlds next year. So they want to give themselves the best chance of that, as we see another great score from the Ranelagh O-line.
Yeah, we see really expansive offense there. A bunch of cross-field shots, and yeah, Ranelagh making that one look easy. Yeah, Dean McCreary with that leading shot sits out in front of Deavy, and
yeah, really nice, easy score, easy hold. You know, they didn't look like they sweat too much. They looked like they had a bit of fun out there. That's what you want your O-line to do. You want them to go out there and just slice it down through the pitch to put your D-line back on. Gives you a lot of confidence, excitement, brings your team along, gets that D-line back out there before they've even had a chance to think about it.
Yeah, and it's all the sweeter when Izno's O-line in the last point really had to work hard. It was a much longer point, and they barely get a chance to rest with the Ranelagh O-line putting that in so quickly. So we'll see if there are any issues with legs on this point for the Iznogood O-line, but a bricked pull from Ranelagh is going to give them a little bit of an easier start.
Literally just landing outside the line.
Iznogood setting up in a vertical stack. Yeah, they're known for their set plays and looking to shoot big, so it'll be interesting to see if they run something out of this now that they've got a static disc from the brick mark. Breaks that continuation to Gilbert. He finds David. Oh, we see some stagnation there and just a flub throw.
Wow, that's sat. The wind again. I think it's on Ranelagh's side in this game.
Yeah, Graydon Scott sitting that one out. Picture perfect for Lawler. Ranelagh now upwind, looking at the red zone. We'll see if they're able to put in the hold or put in the break.
Yeah.
And that was a blade from Callum McCarthy, but I think it's a dagger for Iznogood. Yet another upwind break for this Ranelagh team. They extend their lead to 12-5.
Yeah, really great blade into the back of that end zone. And again, teams have been scoring in that end zone, but I think primarily in the downwind end zone. So haven't had a lot of shots to go into that direction, but that was weighted beautifully. Had the right edge to go up over the defender and sit back into that back corner. There we see the turnover. I think it was just, again, as soon as this Izno gets a little stagnant, things are harder. This disc just keeps going. It just is on Ranelagh's side. It wanted to be caught. We see a couple of nice, really chill, calm resets here. Some really great upwind slices. And then a couple of different cutters to the same space, spreading out into the different corners of that end zone, pulling the D to think it's going to the front corner and then sending it to the back corner. Really, really great.
Yeah, that's really been indicative of the stories of the game. You know, Izno's O-line playing really good offense until then they start to stagnate. We see a turnover, and then the Ranelagh D-line just able to throw a pass to the back of the end zone where none of the Iznogood defenders are and put in yet another break.
And it feels like, so firstly, yeah, we played a 15 here, so it's probable that we'll reach cap in the next 10 minutes before that. But with the points you've got left as the Izno offense, maybe you try something different. Maybe you see what other rules, thoughts, conditions, approaches you can apply. If I were on this O-line, I think I'd be wanting everyone to pretend it was stall 5, set up different offenses to see if we can get the disc off as fast as possible. Obviously, it's hard against such strong defense. Great read and great pickup there, but I think at this point in this kind of game, you want to be learning from this if you can.
Absolutely. It's all well and good being able to kind of train things in perfect conditions, but it's so valuable in conditions like this to be able to get as much data and reps as you can. As we see Ranelagh with another turn done on the sideline here. He's going to take a shot. I mean, there's been a call on the field.
Quite a long time ago there was a call. I think that everyone might be agreeing that that's still a turnover, which, again, as teams, you're allowed to do that if you think it didn't affect or if you think that that's the correct outcome. So back to Izno on L.
Yeah, really great use of that rule there. And Izno are going to get a second chance going upwind. Bouchon on the disc now, looking for Riard. Gets him on the open side with no mark. But he's going to take... Goes for the upfield shot, but just that throw never had a chance of reaching the receiver. Just too much edge, not enough spin, and Ranelagh D-line with another chance for a break. See Dunn continuing to hold on this flick sideline. Moves it back into the center. This Ranelagh D-line really good at moving the disc from side to side, not letting themselves stagnate, as we see Greer with a high stall. Finds an outlet to Keenan.
I wondered if that was going to go. You could see the receiver in the back of the end zone calling for it. And yeah, it's tough to put up a hammer into that space, but that one sat perfectly, really great. You can just tell sometimes when teams are cooking and they're just in a good mood. Everything works for them.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's a blade, a hammer, a backhand. If they're shooting for that back corner of the end zone, it's just working out for Ranelagh right now.
And it's all set up by this really nice swing. Again, they are not letting themselves get caught on any particular sideline. They're always taking the round the back movement to give them a different angle to attack things. And that sets it up to let you let loose a hammer.
We see Ranelagh switching in a new D-line. Yeah, I'm sure those guys are raring to get back out there. It's interesting to see they haven't had any players crossed over from the O-line. I mean, you certainly wouldn't for any sort of reason of stacking lines, but even for keeping the legs fresh at this stage, the D-line have been on for a good few points in a row.
Yeah, I think it's always an interesting tactical challenge is when and whether you pull any O-lines over to D if you are getting a lot of breaks in a row. I think when you're on the D-line and you're earning those breaks, you want to be put out there. You don't want to be taken off. You feel like you've earned the disc back and you want it. And I think it's at what point in the season you're at, right? If this were Euros, I think you'd want to make sure you had the absolute freshest legs on possible. This is both conditioning for the D-line, chance for them to get reps, and chance for them to to give them the chance to play when they've earned it with their breaks.
Shot from Lamar. And he finds Gignac. Iznogood with the heavily D-line influenced line. Managed to put it in. And yeah, yet again, it's that man Lamar coming over from the D-line and helping to shore things up for this Iznogood team. Yeah, he's really been the standout player for Iznogood, regardless of the scoreline. Certainly the silver lining to maybe the silver lining to the cloud that this performance might have been for them.
Yeah, and I like the shape of that hook, I like the weight of that hook. It died in a way where, or it didn't die, but it came down in a way that made it really easy to read. Yeah, really nice put there into the end zone. A little bit throwing the receiver open, but the defense didn't really have time to turn around in time for it.
Iznogood now with their D-line, really with it approaching cap. This is their last chance at one of these upwind breaks, but not even just for the scoreline, but just to make a statement, show that they can do it. They have that in them, and in different circumstances in another game, they will be able to string up scores like that, because right now we really haven't seen it out of them.
And not only to prove it to themselves, but also to have that experience in the mental locker to draw on later in the season. The value that it can give you at Euros to know that you have break capacity in your D-line in a difficult game is so crucial.
Stephen Jones looking for Reed. Too far out the back of the end zone. Even if Reed had been able to make a play in it, there was not enough pitch left.
Yeah, an interesting shape on that. That's that kind of
OIIO throw, so it's going into the inside space, but it's got an outside curve. And with that height, I think that made it really hard. There was such a small catchable window for that disc, and the cutter was not in it.
Yeah, Jones coming off an excellent performance with the Irish beach team at European Beach Clubs, winning a bronze medal, but maybe still adjusting his throws to the grass field, as he was dialed in on the beaches of Poland anyway, but that one got away from him. And here is the chance that this Iznogood D-line will have wanted. A shot looking for Gignac, but again, great option, but unable to let that throw sit up in this win, at least to give the receiver a chance.
Yeah. And again, this is where, you know, there isn't time to have these small discussions in a game. You're on point after point, but this is possibly the point where maybe Iznogood might have wanted to say, let's try and grind it. Get that break by working really hard upwind, because obviously it's great when you get a great upwind hook and it all works out, but it is a riskier option, and possibly when this break could be so valuable to them, maybe a less risky defensive offense could be the vibe.
Just a stoppage here after Jones was able to save that pass that popped up from Corcoran.
Love double cuts, love double receivers, love having two people heading to where the disc is in these kind of situations.
Right, it looks like we're going to go back, assume some sort of pick call, but Corcoran will have the disc in the center of the field. At half field, looking to get Ranelagh within 1 point of the victory, and it's a Kyo high release backhand hook looking for Boissier. And that's a commanding grab from Boissier. Takes it down with two hands, never in doubt. Great to see him scoring there for the Ranelagh O-line.
Yeah, another really strong put into the tight defense. You know, the defender's right there, but everything's coming up Ranelagh today.
Yeah, it started fading, wasn't able to get the box out due to it, but just goes in strong with two hands, able to fend off the defender and secure the goal that puts Ranelagh within 1 point of the victory.
It's also worth mentioning, and I didn't really see this before, but we've got the rosters in front of us, and Ranelagh does have 7 or 8 more players than Izno has rostered here, so it's obviously a bigger ask to play a team that's got a whole line more than you. So maybe we're seeing some tired legs from Iznogood. Maybe not their whole roster was able to come over. So I do think at this point in a game this long, that's probably having an impact.
Certainly, yeah. Talking to Iznogood before the game, they are missing a third of the roster right now, and a couple of key pieces. But yeah, certainly not only just the personnel you're missing out on, but also that lack of legs can stack up, especially in this London heat.
I actually think, I mean, with that perspective, this could be a really weirdly useful game for Izno. I think often when you have not all of your players, or maybe you split your team in two. Oh, great grab.
Riyard with the shot to David. He takes that down between two defenders.
Yeah, great moment for Izno there. Sometimes that can be a really great moment for your team to learn new connections, test out different things. Sometimes it's not about the score, it's about what does this group of people function like together, how much better will we be when we get the rest of our team back together. But you gain things and you learn things from a game where you don't have your whole team, that you don't when you have your full roster.
Yeah, definitely the best opportunity for those younger, more lower on the roster players to make a name for themselves and stand out is at tournaments like these. And yeah, certainly a player like Lamar is definitely doing that right here. And yeah, it's one last opportunity for anyone else in this Iznogood D-line to make a name for themselves and bring some life back into this game.
Also, in a way, I mean, it sounds pretty likely that these two teams might play each other again at some point in this European tour. Izno has seen probably most things Ranelagh has to offer, and Ranelagh has not seen everything Izno has to offer. So in some way, they're getting an advantage out of this game for the rest of the season.
Exactly, yeah. With the prevalence of streamed games now, the ability to scout other teams has increased tenfold, and yeah, even having, despite it being a loss, having this data to look back on can be crucial for results later in the season. As we see the Ranelagh O-line looking to close out this game with a perfect hold. And it's a shot from Kyo to Boisse that will do it.
Really well defended there to have a play on the disc and avoid contact, particularly with the player coming down to his knees right in the way. But again, great find, great zippy offense, really taking the options and testing things out. And they're just, yeah, everything's working for them today.
Yeah, that one indicative, a smooth way to end the game for Ranelagh. It was the O-line that finished it off, but it really was the D-line that was the story of this game. Able to generate turns, but not only that, work it up the field and convert breaks in what was treacherous conditions, really, with the wind.
Yeah, I think that was, I mean, the score wasn't very close, but I think at this stage in the season, both teams are getting a lot out of that. I would be really excited to see a rematch of these two teams with Izno having their full roster later in the year, maybe hopefully at Euros. But yeah, these are the kind of games that go into the locker for you to learn things from on both sides. Maybe it's this windy at Euros, who knows?
Yeah, certainly a learning experience for Izno and a confidence boost for Ranelagh after Universe Point lost this morning. They'll be taking that into the last game of the day against Clapham to see if they can bring that momentum and replicate some of their heroics from 2022.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
So with that, a 15-7 win for Ranelagh. They managed to steady the ship. Iznogood will go into their third game of the day, looking for their first win. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you later for more coverage of London Invite.
Thank you. Thanks.
ULTI.TV.